In this conversation with Brad, one of the things I learned most about in our talks with the Googles and KPIs and all the different details to help your business get found more is the idea of the leaky bucket. Something I never really thought of, but it makes complete sense. And we have to address this leaky bucket before we can start worrying about any of the numbers and vanity metrics or any of those other things. So tune in and let's learn about how to fix your leaky bucket. You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. No fluff, just their experiences and stories from people who are making it happen. And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals. Now, on to the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us to the Live Local Warm Marketing Podcast. Today, we're with Bradley, and we are part of the Gray Beer Club. Sir, how are we feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's cold as hell here, but it's good to be here, and I'm happy to be on with you.
That has been the sentiment across America. It's just been a real cold little patch here. So, all right, let's do a little bit about Bradley, and then we'll get right into the questions. Bradley is the co-founder and senior partner of Semantic Mastery. It's a self-proclaimed digital marketing addict. After 12 years of working as an electrical contractor and communication technician, he left the trades to launch a real estate investing business where he learned the importance of effective marketing and immersed himself in studying the arts and science of marketing. And in 2010, he noticed that the marketing landscape shifted to the digital space. So he began learning websites and SEO and social media. And then he realized a passion for online marketing and built his consulting business, Big Bamboo Marketing, which I'm sure we'll figure out why it's Big Bamboo later. And it's a total digital marketing solution for small businesses. So with all that experience, I can't wait to get into the questions. Sir, are you ready?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's talk about a time that you had a loss that turned out to be a win.
Probably in 2019, I believe it was. I've been running a lead gen business. That's actually how I got started in SEO. Was I started generating leads for my own electrical contracting business back in 2010 or so. And so I started, as I was learning SEO, I built a bunch of lead gen assets. So Google Business Profiles, at the time they were called Google Places listings. And WordPress. I learned how to build WordPress sites. And so I had built a number of test lead gen sites to kind of get started in different, test sites that I could test different, techniques on and methods on, et cetera. And so I started, once some of those were successful and I started generating leads, I started monetizing those by originally rank and rent, but eventually I went to lead generation, so pay per lead type services, et cetera. And then eventually, ultimately kind of graduated up to revenue share model with particular clients. I finally niched down to just working with tree service contractors, probably around 2015 in the lead gen space. I really kind of focused just on doing lead gen for tree contractors as well as running my agency. But in 2019, there was some sort of shift in Google's algorithm, in the Maps algorithm, that caused over 35 of my Google business profiles that were lead gen assets to just drop. They didn't get suspended, but they dropped from being in the top 3, which was, a very sizable chunk of my revenue, down to not producing any leads. And so that was very painful. But through that process, I decided to kind of relearn how to do on-page optimization to optimize for organic search and not just map search when it came to local SEO, so that I could strike a balance between both and not put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. And that turned into a win, because now those principles that I kind of learned again about organic SEO, it now applies to AI search performance as well.
So give us a fifth grade level difference between the map version and the organic search. Like you talked about the Google, so that way we understand what you're getting into.
Two different types of ways that there's a whole bunch of different sets of factors for what you should be optimizing in order to improve performance in either one of those algorithms. There is some overlap between the organic search algorithm and the Maps search algorithm when it comes to Google. And if you do a google.com or Google universal search with a search query with a local intent, and you get those are called blended results on the google.com page, which is universal search. It's blended results. It's called universal search because it's organic, it's maps, it's news, it's images, it's videos, it's all of those things. And so on google.com universal search, now that maps pack is what's called local finder, and local finder is a hybrid between the organic algorithm and the maps algorithm. It's not the same as maps. When you click into Google Maps, that's a different algorithm. And so we have to kind of optimize for two different data sets, two different algorithms, and there's a little bit of overlap in between. But I really focus, all local businesses here should know that the vast majority of leads that come through Google search are going to come through Maps. like either the Maps pack or directly through Maps, not through organic. So I kind of abandoned organic or ignored it for a long time because most of the leads come through Maps. But when something changes and the map drops and you don't have organic presence, then you don't have any leads. And so I realized then the importance of trying to balance both. And fortunately, that a lot of what we do to optimize for organic search actually translates into performing well for AI search. Not the same. There's still different tactics we have to apply, but there's still a lot of overlap there too.
Gotcha. There's a lot to it. Yes. Excellent. All right. So of all the things you've been doing and all the strategies, what is currently your favorite? The one I'm having a blast doing this strategy, doing this kind of marketing. Well, a quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
Well, honestly, I've been an SEO guy for now 16 years, and I'm not a creative guy. I'm a technical guy. And so in SEO, I've spent 16 years, probably the first 10 to 12 years doing spamming techniques, right? Like SEOs are good at spamming. And that's what I did too, because it got results. But thank God the algorithm changed about 4 years ago from a keyword-based algorithm to an entity-based algorithm, which completely changes how we should be optimizing. And now we don't have to do nearly the kind of spammy stuff that we used to have to do. And so I told you this right before we started the interview, is I'm now with this kind of AI evolution, whatever you want to call it. And the algorithm shifting from a keyword-based algorithm to an entity-based algorithm with language models behind it. So now we don't have to hammer Google over the head with spammy keywords the way we used to, because it understands our language much, much better. And so we now as SEOs, instead of doing all the spammy stuff that we used to have to do, that over time I just got really tired of doing because I knew it was spammy. Now it's really about, we still have to optimize for the bots, for the machines, but we do that at the kind of what I call the main optimization elements of the pages on a website. So that's the URL, titles, headings, subheadings, internal links, and media. But as far as the paragraph text between those main optimization elements of a page, we should be optimizing for humans to create compelling copy. And so instead of, spamming pages with, over-optimized keywords stuffed all through it and everything else, it makes it incredibly difficult for the consumer to read and consume that information. But we did it in order to achieve better ranking results. Now I really focus on teaching, you want to optimize for the machines there's certain levers that we can pull to optimize for the machines or the bots, but everything else should be optimized with direct response marketing and good copywriting kind of techniques in order to convert the human visitor into whatever conversion goal it is that you want them to take. And so I'm a student of direct response marketing. I love direct mail, kind of like direct response marketing type of stuff, and copywriting and creating compelling messages and things like that. And now we can incorporate that into our SEO kind of tech methods. And before it was really more about just hammering to try to get results, like to get ranked results. But now consumers are a lot more discerning because they have so many different options. And so I think we should be optimizing to speak directly to a particular ICP, ideal customer profile, or a particular buyer persona, and meet them with proper messaging at whatever stage in the sales cycle or buying cycle they're in. And so it's more about understanding your market and knowing direct response marketing, copywriting, et cetera. And I love that because it's a lot more focused and less spammy, if that's clear. Sorry, I went way over 2 minutes on that.
You're passionate. You really get into it. So it's hard. Yeah, no, keep going, man. We're learning a ton here. This is great. So of this process, you've been doing it for a very long time. What elements are you probably really still hands-on? What part of it are you really hands-on with? And what parts are you farming out to like maybe the team or a VA?
So to answer your question, I am still way too involved in the day-to-day operation. There's no question. And that's one thing I've not been able to do is let go of the SEO decision-making. So I still involved daily on decision-making for client work. And so that is a bit of a bottleneck. There's no question. And I am trying to resolve that. One of my goals this year, 2026, is to do that. But So I have built a team. I had as many as 28 full-time employees about 6 months ago, but over the last 6 months, I've reduced that by half because of AI. So now I'm down to 14 employees, and I've increased my profit margins from 16%. My average profit margins went up 16% by just doing that, reducing overhead, reducing personnel by having AI. But so I still do all the SEO decision making for my client and my various agencies, because I run multiple agencies now. So that's one thing that I still do, and it's in part because I haven't been able to figure out how to train that to an AI yet, and I don't really trust anybody else to do it, and unfortunately. But I have built a really good team, and so most of the actual work is done by my team members instead of me directly. So like all the fulfillment side of things is really done by my team, who I've trained, or AI with a human kind of editor, or kind of overseer, so to speak. But really, the decision making is still something I do.
So I knew you were going to be hands-on because you just have so much passion for it. But is there like a creative? You're very data brained, engineer brained. Are you handing off some of the creative off to other people on your team? What parts do you hand off? Yeah.
Oh, I don't do any of the creatives. Never do I do the creatives. And if I do, it's gonna be terrible. It won't perform well. So we use AI for some creatives, but I actually still have I have a company in Pakistan actually that does most of my creative work for me, because I found that it's, I still would rather have a human that's good at creative graphic design and stuff to kind of manage all. And I know they're using AI, and that's fine. They're just better at it than we are. So I just let them do that. But we do all the link building, content marketing, so publishing a post, content generation, on-page optimization, analysis and audits, citation building, all that kind of stuff. And then I also, of course, I teach local SEO. So I teach how to structure sites properly and do, branding and entity promotion and all that kind of stuff. So
which you would call the fun stuff.
Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah.
That's the fun stuff. All right. So we're doing a lot of data. We're doing a lot of, like I said, engineer brain type stuff. So when you get down with the business, you really need to know their brand, though. That's where the copyright comes in. That's where all the stuff. How do you pull the brand out of them so that way you can properly format the content?
That's a great question. And actually, with AI, it makes it so easy. What I do is, like, for example, with my local SEO clients, not my white label clients, because my white label clients, we do fulfillment service for other agencies. So it would be up to them to extract their client's brand and tone and style and publish. But on the white label side, we're kind of doing external stuff. But for my own local SEO clients and tree services, because my own local SEO agency in 2020, I niched down entirely and rebranded with a DBA. It's called Tree Care HQ, for Tree Care Headquarters. So Tree Care HQ is my own local SEO agency. I just work with tree contractors. And so with them, what I do is I get on a Google Meet. So it's very similar to what we're on now on StreamYard. I get on a Google Meet with them for about 30 minutes, and I just interview them about their business. I just ask them to talk about their business, how they get into it. Everybody's favorite subject is themselves, and every business owner's favorite subject is their business. And so when I get on a Google Meet with them, and I have, just like you and I are having a conversation right now, it's very fluid. It's very conversation. It's natural. It's not forced. It's not awkward. And so through that 30-minute session where I just ask them a couple of brief questions to let them get going, and then I shut up and just let them talk. And then from that, I take that video recording from that Google Meet, and I can run it through a series of prompts, and I can extract their tone and style so that whenever we are publishing content, it's precisely in their voice, as if they had wrote it or spoken it. You know what I mean? And so what I found, what's really interesting in AI search right now, and even in Google search, is, because of AI making it so easy for people to produce content, there's a lot of AI slop out there, right? And so there are these suppression filters that are being applied to content that has no authorship or nobody taking ownership of the content. And it's one of the ways that they can combat this AI spam. And so what I found is, just by extracting the tone and style from my clients and then writing any of the, we write the copy and we publish it on their behalf, but it's now in their tone and style. And then we add assign authorship to them, because they are a subject matter expert in their respective domain, their industry, their business vertical, right? They don't have to be an industry leader, but if they're a business owner with the proper credentials, they're a subject matter expert. So what we do is we publish content now in their tone and style, because we create the tone and style guide from that Google Meet recording. And then we assign authorship to it, meaning, like, if LinkedIn is one of the best places to do it if they have a fleshed out LinkedIn profile. With tree service guys, a lot of them don't. They're just not active on LinkedIn. So then we'll use whatever social media profile they're the most active on, which is usually either Facebook or Instagram. And so we'll assign, like whenever we're associating content with them, we'll put a little author box in there, or if we're referencing a quote from them in a press release, we'll link over to their profile on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. Their profile, not their company page, their specific profile, because now that's attributing that content to that particular profile instead of a brand, which can be somewhat generic, if that's clear. You know?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's efficient. Holy cow. That's a very efficient, very quick way to get it out of them. So this will be a good one for you. The next question we're going to say, when I use the term useful data, there's so much data out there. What is the most useful data that you can pull for your clients?
Conversions, average order value, lifetime value. That's what matters the most. Everything else is vanity metrics. Everything else, even in SEO, like ranking metrics, traffic, all that. That's, in my opinion, it's all vanity. It's what matters the most is the revenue generating KPIs, like the revenue KPIs. So talking about, like I said, average order value, lifetime value, the conversion rates, because generating traffic is good. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said, we used to just spam stuff up into the top of the search results. And back in the day when Google was the only player in town, it didn't matter what was on the page, because as long as you got it ranked, you'd convert. You know what I mean? But now, because there's so many options, we have to be a lot better at what kind of content it's not about ranking anymore. That's only one step of several. And so getting exposure is important, but also making sure that it's relevant and it generates the intended or desired goal, which is usually some sort of conversion action. And so to me, like, it's not even just about generating leads, because in the tree service industry, which is the industry that I work in, my local SEO agency, for years, I used to just generate leads for tree service contractors. But if they have terrible, follow-ups, terrible in-house sales processes, et cetera, then all the leads in the world aren't going to help their business. And guess what they end up saying? Well, your leads suck. No. It's not my leads suck. It's your process sucks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I've learned over the years that, it's not the rankings. It's not the leads. What matters, I mean, that's part of it. Yes. But what matters the most is what happens once that lead's generated. Can it be converted? Does it ultimately wind up in revenue? And if so, how can you keep the customer for longer and get them to buy more? And so to me, those are the most important metrics.
So when you sit down with a client, do you have that conversation? Like, hey, before I take you on as a client, I need to know what your systems look like, and I need to know what your follow-up looks like, or I may not take you on as a client. Do you have that conversation?
I do, but honestly, in the tree service industry, they're like 95% of every one of them, it's the same answer. They don't have any of that. You know what I mean? Like because a lot of the tree guys, like they don't the calls come into them, and if they're up a tree or running equipment or managing their crew, they don't even answer the phone. And consumers very rarely leave voicemail messages. If they don't get somebody to answer, they're going to call the next contractor. Mm-hmm. So, and even if they do leave, that, like, they're very inefficient at follow-ups. They're not consistent with follow-ups. So what I found is most tree guys I just talk to, and by the way, that's my sales process with them, is I always ask them, I say, I get on a sales call just like this with them on Google Meet. And I say, tell me what happens when a lead comes in. Like, first of all, how is it generated? Does it come through the web form? Does it come through phone? I know what the answer is. It's like 70-80% of all leads come through phone calls. So I ask them this, though. Yep. Does it come through the web? Does it come through a form submission or a phone call or what? And I sit back and I let them talk. And then I said, great. So what happens when the call comes in? Because it's almost always calls. Yeah. Do you answer the phone immediately? Does it go to voicemail? Blah, blah, blah. And then I sit back and listen. And then they start, and as they are explaining to me how inefficient, they're just telling me in their own words, their process, and through their own words, they realize how inefficient it is. Because I know we're over on time, but I always ask tree guys, I say, like, what at the start of a sales conversation with a tree contractor, I ask them, what do you think is the most important thing in your business right now that you need the most? And 9 out of 10 of them are going to say leads. And then that's when I go into this process and I ask them, okay, great. So I thought you were going to say that. So tell me, what happens when a lead comes in? How is it generated? Blah, blah, blah. And through that process, they tell me. And so eventually I get to the point where I say, so let me ask you something. Sounds like you don't have a very efficient lead process. Am I right? And I nod and they go, well, yeah, I guess it could use some work. And I say, okay, so it might not be that you need more leads. You got a leaky bucket issue. Like, you need to plug the holes in that bucket so that you can convert more of those leads into booked appointments. Does that sound fair? And they go, yes. That's probably right. And I say, okay, so perhaps we should work on plugging that hole in the bucket. So maybe setting up like a live answering service or an AI answering service that can screen calls and everything else. And then once you have a better lead management process in place, then we can work on generating more leads. Does that sound more reasonable to you? And then they go, well, yeah, you're probably right. And that's my sales process. I let them tell me how inefficient their process is so that they realize that they need help in that area. And so it's not even just an SEO thing. This is what I was talking about before. It's not just about generating leads. It's about what happens once it's generated. You know what I mean?
Yep. Keeping them and converting them. So of all the different strategies you've done, and you've been doing this for a really long time, what strategy is it? Like, I used to use this, but I don't anymore. It's garbage. ROI is not there. Leave it aside. Don't do it.
Any type of spam, like link spam, content spam, Google business profile spam. Like, again, in the lead generation business for years, we used to just go out and create Google business profiles or claim unclaimed Google business profiles and things like that. Those were spammed listings. And for years, I built my business on that. And there's still people doing that, but I don't recommend it. I even teach my students, don't do that. That's building a house on sand instead of on rock. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do that. But also link spam, like spammy links. I run a white label link building agency, and we don't do spammy links. We focus on relevance instead of doing like bulk link spam and all that kind of stuff. But, again, we did what we had to do back in the day, but I'm so glad we're over those days, to be honest with you. So
is the difference in spam and what you're doing now copywriting?
Well, what do you mean copyright spam?
The content you put in there, the things that you put in these.
We're a lot better with that. I mean, obviously AI has made it a lot easier to produce better copy too. Back in the day, we used to take a piece of content. We would go scrape an article from somewhere and run it through a spinner. I don't know if anybody who's done SEO probably knows what I'm talking about, but we'd run it through a spinner, and it would create multiple versions that were slightly different from that original, so that it wasn't an exact duplicate or a copy. It was spam. That was pure spam. And so now we don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore. But what's important is to kind of really structure content properly. And remember, it's not just about structuring the content so that it will perform well in search, but it's also structuring the content so that it will convert the visitor into whatever goal it is you want them to take. And so, like, to me, that's why I talk about, and what I teach is to optimize the main optimization elements of a page, which is, if you're publishing an article or a post, it's on a page. And so that's the URL, titles, headings, subheadings, internal links, and media. Those are the main things that we should optimize for the bots, for the algorithms, etc. But then all of the paragraph text between should be optimized for humans. And that's where copywriting comes in, marketing principles, et cetera. So. Gotcha.
That makes complete sense. All right. So let's shift gears again. So as you sit down with clients and they're not sure they're going to hire you, they're like, I don't know. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of information here. What kind of conversation do you have with them about the idea of confidence and that your company is going to help them grow?
Probably the two biggest things. Number one is, I'm very thorough in my explanations whenever, and I don't do any hard sales tactics on calls ever. I'm very transparent about that. As a matter of fact, it's one of the first things I say when I get on a sales call, whether it's an SEO professional that's purchasing links, if I'm selling them links, or if it's a tree service contract and I'm selling them, marketing services. When I first get on a call with them, I always tell them, like, listen, I'm not going to do any hard sales tactics. You don't have to worry about that. Like, I'm just going to show you what we do. We're going to have a conversation. If it makes sense for us to work together, great. If not, hey, no harm, no foul. Like, you'll probably still learn something today. Is that fair? Should we continue? And I do that on the call, and then I've never had them one time say, no, let's go ahead and end this now. I'm not interested. I've never once had that happen. And so I go through the process of just explaining what it is that we do. I show them examples. And then I say, what do you think? Does it make sense for us? And a lot of times, especially with tree service links, I usually close it's easy to sell links to SEOs. It really is. But it's difficult to sell marketing services to tree guys because they've been burned a lot by a lot of different agencies. And so with them, I'm never pushy. I tell them what it is. I show them what we do. And then usually on the call, like, they're not ready to close. And I've got some low cost front end services for them that I use to kind of get them in the door. And then I can develop that relationship and ascend them up to higher level services. But I always tell them, like, listen, I'm not, like I told you at the top of our call, I'm not here to push you to in this purchasing anything. I'll tell you what, though, after our call today, if it's all right with you, I'm going to continue to send you some information via email about our products and services and things, and just useful tips about how you can improve on your own, like your exposure and online, et cetera. And when you're ready, we're going to be here for you. So that gets back to, I know that you talk about warm marketing. Well, I do cold email as my kind of initial lead gen for my agencies. Every one of them, cold email is my primary lead generation source.
Got it.
But once they get into once that initial contact is made, then I'm very conservative and gentle in my warm up nurturing kind of process. And what I found, especially with tree guys, is because I'm not pushy and because I develop some rapport with them by not being pushy, that what happens is I get, like, from just this past 10 days, I've closed 4 new tree service contractors, and I'm not even trying to close new tree contractors in 2026 because I'm focusing on my white label agency. But because they've been in my pipeline and they're on my nurture sequence and they get biweekly newsletter emails and, useful information, they just, over time, I just get calls that come in and say, hey man, I've been getting your newsletter for the last 6 months and now I'm ready for marketing services. So it's that warm, I do cold email to initiate the contact, but then I'm very gentle and conservative, long-term nurturing. And what happens is over time, you just start getting leads that are popping, converting into new agency clients because I was very conservative and gentle with them instead of being pushy. So that's my favorite way for sure.
It sounds like it's education, asking the right questions, and being an active listener. Is that sum it up pretty good there? That's pretty much like your system. You have a real simple system. And those 3 things make any sales. Like, I hate the pushy people and the spam.
Me too.
You seem very genuine. Yeah. So you're very genuine. You say you're not warm, but it is warm marketing. That's basically warm marketing. They came to you and you fed them the information they need. And so tons of information, lots of great content here. Let's go out on a bang and talk about your business, what you're working with us today. And then how can people get a hold of you?
Great. Well, I've got a number of agencies. Like I said, Tree Care HQ is my local marketing agency for tree service contractors. I also have a white label link building agency, but this month we're merging another agency that was more full service SEO into that. So it's going to be one white label services agency. It's called Semantic Links. But it's going to, right now it's link building agency. But again, we have another agency called Semantic SEO that was more full service, and we're merging them. We're trying to simplify our models this year. I was running myself crazy across 4 different businesses, and now we're trying to narrow it down into, but anyways, Semantic Mastery, that's this company here. This is my coaching and information product business. And the easiest thing, and I'm not here to pitch anybody on anything, but just go check out youtube.com/@Semantic Mastery. We've been at our weekly webinar series called Humpday Hangouts on Wednesday. It's 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour-long Q&A. Local marketing, local Q&A, local marketing, local SEO Q&A webinar series. And we've been at it for over 11 years. We've got over 5,000 videos on our YouTube channel. And they're all local SEO related and local marketing related question and answer type videos and training videos. So I encourage people to just go check out our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions about local marketing, running a local marketing business or local marketing agency, etc., just come join us on Humpday Hangouts. It's 100% free. I've been doing it for over 11 years. I love it. I love answering questions every week about this stuff because I love this stuff. So come join us over there.
That's awesome. I appreciate all your help today. And today's my look back at systems and my systems. You're very engineer brained. You have all the consistency and the systems down in place. So I need to go back and look through my stuff to make sure that I've got the right systems and I've got the right processes in place to create the consistency that you've been enjoying. 5,000 videos. It's a ton of videos.
Yep. Been at it for over 11 years, baby.
Dang, man. All right. So we appreciate your time and all of your help today. Please reach out. At least go to the Humpday and check out some information. You will learn things from Bradley. So thank you for your help, and good luck with the pivot. And as you make that adjustment to the business, I'm sure it's going to go well.
Thank you for having me today, Billy. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.